Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Would everyone please rise? Extend your hands in front of you as though you're holding a tray or about to receive a gift. You may recite along with me silently as I recite aloud the opening prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of requirement. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Amen. You may be seated. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, most merciful, in the person of our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him forever. And we thank Master Elijah Muhammad, who came in the person of Allah in the year 1930. He is the manifestation of Almighty God Allah. We will remember him and we will praise him forever. And we will honor him by naming our children after him for at least 1,000 years. And we thank our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, for raising the field supreme minister of the New World Nation of Islam, Holy Tribe of Shabazz, Ali Wadi Muhammad. We greet you in the Arabic language of peace, Assalamu alaikum. And in the New World Nation of Islam, greetings of peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
We thank Allah for much for you coming out. I am Brother Minister Rahim Ali, your host for this afternoon. And I am honored to be your master of ceremony for today's temple service. Today we have a dynamic message for you. We have an important message for you from the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, which comes out of the book, or out of his article, The Flag of Islam, which will be delivered to you by two dynamic ministers of the New World Nation of Islam, Holy Tribe of Shabazz. But before we bring on these two ministers, allow me to explain the protocol and procedures you have just experienced. As you was entering our temple service, we ask that you submit to our searching procedure. The searching procedure is not the invention of the New World Nation of Islam. It was introduced in 1930 by Allah God, who came in the person of Master Elijah Muhammad. This searching procedure is not to harm you. You do not need a weapon. You will not be attacked. Also, if you look to your left and to your right, you'll see the men sitting on one side of the room and you see the women on the other side of the room. This separation of the sexes is only meant to prevent the natural distraction or attraction between men and women. This is why we have that. If anyone has a cell phone, please put it on vibrate or turn it off. This is also to avoid disrupting the service. Finally, if anyone needs to use the restroom at any time, motion for one of the brothers or sisters in the rear, and he or she will assist you to the area. So again, how y'all feeling?
Fine, sir.
Praise be to Allah Muhammad. This is a great day today.
Yes, sir.
This is a day that we have been waiting on all of our life. We have been going through so much. So we thank Allah so much to be here. It is because of the teaching of the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad that we are here today. Nobody else, we don't care who we put on, it's because of him. Elijah Muhammad, the one that they spoke of in the scriptures as coming. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We get the question a lot. What is the difference between the New World Nation of Islam and the Old World Nation of Islam? And who is the New World of Islam? First, the New World Nation of Islam is not new. We have been here since the early 60s or late 50s. If you read the teachings of the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad's books, you will see he constantly speaks of a new world. He constantly reminded us of a new world in this day and time. In 1960, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said at the 70th convention, he said that I have been made equal in knowledge with Allah. I have power over the sun, moon, and stars. I control the winds and the seas. And I have waited over 379 years for this day. What did that mean to the people at that time? Did they look into his words? Everyone was looking for Master Farad Muhammad, who came in the person of Allah in the year 1930. He was half and half. Everybody was looking around for him. You remember also during that time, there was a saying going on. Be careful who you talk to. You might be talking to Master Farad Muhammad. All the old Muslims can remember that. But this is for those who never heard this before. This is for those who never. It was said back in the 60s, be careful who you speak of or talk to, because you might be talking to God himself, Master Farad Muhammad. Now, those who know the teachings of the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad always look at Master Farad Muhammad as being half and half. He came that way because he had to be able to get in among our peoples, to move around unattacked or unnoticed. He could not come black because during this time, J. Edgar Hoover and his boys would have a hit out for anyone that was coming here proclaiming to be that black Messiah. So he had to come in disguise. But now, in the 60s, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad began to teach that God was from the holy tribe of Shabazz. He began to teach this. And more you began to hear him speak about the holy tribe of Shabazz, a black man, a black God. So we go back to what we're saying in the 60s when he was saying, be careful with who you're talking to. You might be speaking with Master Farad Muhammad. You might be talking with Master Farad Muhammad. People was looking around for a man who was half and half. They was not looking for that black God that the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad had told us that would be here at that time. That would be here. You remember Elijah Muhammad, our father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said in one of his writings. He said, Elijah makes the path. Then the one whom you seek will come, will pick up that path. And he called that one the Son of Man. This is what have got away from a lot of our people and why they are looking in all other directions for God instead of the one that the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad had prepared us for. We are that new world nation of Islam, the holy tribe of Shabazz, the God tribe who came to this planet 66 trillion years ago. And to prove it, we marked the place where we was to settle at with a black stone. We came here, we brought that black stone with us. It didn't come from this part of the planet. We brought it with us here, and we set it down. And right now, today, brothers and sisters, if you would go over to the holy city Mecca, you will see this sitting there. Inside of the circuit cover. Covered up so can't nobody touch it. And it's there. And all you can do is look through this panel, whatever it is, that you can look through and see it. You cannot touch it. That is you and I. 66 trillion years ago, we've been here on this planet. We marked it with that black stone. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. In the book of John, chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Who gave us Islam here in the United States? Who taught us to be Muslims? Well, we didn't come up with that on our own. The Arabs over in the East, though they are Muslims, didn't come looking for us to give us their Islam. They didn't do that. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. We don't want to take nothing away from his praise. Who gave us this? He gave us more than any other people on the planet had ever gave us. And we are turning our backs on him, on what he gave us. You say we walk around with our Muslim garbs on? We want to look like someone else other than who we are. We want to talk like someone else other than we are. First, we better learn how to speak our own. The language is here. We want to be everything else except for who we are. But it was the honorable, most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad that made us Muslim. He taught us who we are. He said that you are God's black man. You are God's black women. God's. Oh, the black woman. You can't forget her. Oh, no, you can't. The black woman, the mother of all civilization. She has rocked the cradle of every civilization known. It is through her milk that these churches is living now. All these babies. They should breastfed other people's babies instead of feeding and not feeding them all because she was put into that condition that she had to do. She has rocked the cradle of every civilization and all. When the black man was put into slavery, brought over here 406 some odd years ago, I'm talking about that tribe of Shabazz. All black peoples is not Shabazz. They are original people. But all Shabazzes are black. When she was brought here on that planet, on that ship, with the black man, put in the shackles and chains, and we got to remember how strong our black woman is. She suffered every whip, every lash, and had to carry every bell that black man had to carry. She couldn't even slack on her work, and still she had to go and feed her babies and take care of the master children. This is that strong black woman we're talking about here. Praise be to Allah Muhammad.
Amen.
We want to say the key. Because we can't forget the key that the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad gave us. And that is the key to understanding the teachings of the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad is to know that the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad says what he means and means what he says. We quote what he wrote. And what he said we must obey. Nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time all the time. The history has already been written in 25,000 year cycles. Our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said, before the kingdom can come, there must be a falling away first. And during the night of spiritual darkness, the devil will cast 1/3 of the stars of God down to the ground, but a new sun and a new day under the guidance of the great Mahdi will come, and he will turn the hearts of the children back to our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. So with that, we will bring on our first speaker for today, our beloved brother minister, Sabir Ali. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Can we please give our host another round of applause? Beautiful spirit, Lord, beautiful spirit. We thank Allah Muhammad so much for you, Lord. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, in the person of our Father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him forever. And we thank Master Farad Muhammad, who came to us in the person of Allah in the year of 1930. He is the manifestation of Almighty God Allah. We will remember him and praise him forever, and we will honor him by naming our children after him for at least 1,000 years. And we thank our Father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, for raising the field supreme minister of the New World Nation of Islam, Holy Tribe of Shabazz, Ali Mahdi Muhammad, as we greet you in our native tongue, Assalamu alaikum. In our New World Nation of Islam's greetings, which is peace to you in the old world, and peace to you in the new world hereafter. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
As always, and we can't reiterate this enough, the key to understanding the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is to know that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says what he means, and he means what he says. We quote what he wrote. What he say, we must obey. He told us that nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time all the time. The history is already written in 25,000 year cycles. Our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, said that before the kingdom can come, there must be a falling away first. And during the night of spiritual darkness, the devil will cast 1/3 of the stars of God down to the ground. But a new sun and a new day, under the guidance of the great Mahdi, will come, and he will turn the hearts of the children back to our Father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The new sun is raised by the honorable Elijah Muhammad here in the wilderness of North America. We greet you once again. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
How's everyone doing this afternoon?
Fine, sir.
Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We too are fine. Thank Allah Muhammad. As we always like to say, any day on this side of the grass is a good one.
Yes, sir.
You have to count your blessings, brothers and sisters. Praise be to Allah and Muhammad. Our subject, as the host said, is the flag of Islam. Now, we have noticed that during our Q&A segments after service, which we have every ending of service, there's never really too many questions about the flag of Islam. Although it is prominently displayed right here every service. We take for granted that it is simply signs and symbols. It's just a star, crescent with a red background. But the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad taught us. In fact, he wrote an entire book entitled The Flag of Islam because he could not cover it in just 1 or 2 chapters. This is how significant it is that we understand the importance of the flag of Islam. Our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, gave us everything we needed in black and white and left no stone unturned. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So being that we don't have much interest in the Q&A segment, we would like to take a Q&A approach to breaking down the flag of Islam, if that's okay with you. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. What is the flag of Islam? Now, these are not my words, brothers and sisters. This is coming from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, with our humble attempt to elaborate on what he had to say. This is what the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said in regards to what is the flag of Islam. This can be found in the book, The Flag of Islam. Everything that we're quoting today is coming from that book, if you need a reference of where to find these quotes. Our Father said the flag of Islam given by Allah God to the lost and found in America represents the sun, moon, and the stars. He said the sun consists of fire, which is 853,000 miles in diameter, and on an average of 93,000 miles from the earth. Here we are talking facts. Now, you got to be a man of supreme wisdom and understanding to be dropping factual numbers about the planet, about the sun, about how it rotates. No one has ever been able to outdo the supreme wisdom of the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. But let us continue on, because we'll get to bragging and boasting a lot about our Father, because we praise him that much. He said that the sun controls the 9 planets with the light and heat, which gives the planets energy and life. He said it represents freedom. Praise be to Allah and Muhammad. He said that the moon is part of our earth. But let's back up just a little bit here. He said that the sun represents freedom. That is the entire red portion that you see here on the flag. Just for those who have somewhat of curiosity, well, I don't see the sun, it's just a moon and a star. The sun is the red in the back of the flag. Our Father said the moon is part of the earth. It represents equality. He said the star is the light that dispels the darkness of space and bears witness to the sun. He said the star is without numbers. This is why you only see one star here. It represents all the stars in the universe, you see? Our next question that we would like to raise is, and we're talking Q&A here, when did the flag of Islam come into existence? Because you have naysayers who want to like to challenge the origin or the teachings of the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. When he said that Master Farah Muhammad, Almighty God, Allah in person, Master Farah Muhammad, said that it came when he found us in the wilderness of North America. Now, our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, said that the term wilderness is a spiritual term. And we looked at this, we said, spiritual. If you look into the scriptures, you hear the term wilderness quite often if you follow the Bible. Now, by definition, wilderness means backwoods, rough country, or wasteland. All right, now some of you may say, all right, Brother Minister, now, talking about America here, backwoods, wastelands, this is one of the richest countries in the planet. What do you mean? Okay, let's take aside all of America's wealth and the picture that is painted throughout the world as them being this glorious nation. Then just look at it from the perspective of you and I, the black man and woman here in the wilderness of North America. Is it not rough for us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it not a wasteland for us?
Yes, sir.
Nothing's wrong. The most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said it, and he said it right. And the scriptures bear witness. But let's go back into what our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, had to say. He said, therefore, talking about Master Farah Muhammad, he began at once calling us the lost found nation of Islam in the wilderness of North America. He brought to us a flag to represent our independence as a nation. How can you call yourself a nation of people and you do not have a flag that held over to represent you as a nation? A nation of people. He said, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, regarding Master Farah Muhammad, he offered to us a flag which represents an independent people. Okay, now we're talking about coming off the cuffs of slavery in 1930, when we barely was even able to go for self. So what do you mean by independent people at this particular time? Once you get the knowledge of yourself, your enemy, who the true and living God is, that is your independence from the white man's grit and claws that he had on us. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This was our independence at that time. It is said that Master Farah Muhammad of 1930, when he came over here to the wilderness of North America, he sat on the curb and cried when he looked at the condition of our people. Could you imagine you being raised by the scientists to come and save a particular people, and all you knew was this gloriousness and what your people have done and who they are and what they are to be, and then you come here and you witness them walking down the street, slumped over, high on drugs, prostituting, gambling, killing one another left and right, you would sit down and shed a few tears yourself. So he cried. But our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, always teaches us that nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time, all the time. Let's go to another question. Why is the flag given to the lost found nation and not any other people? You say it come like that. Well, why y'all got a flag? Why you, so-called Negroes, got a flag? There's other nations that suffer too. Okay. We are the only people without a true identity. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Everyone has a nation that they can call their own. Even though their nation may be third world, they may be driven by mudslides, barely have any kind of means of being self-sufficient, but they can call it their home. Look at us over here in the wilderness of North America. We have no place to call our own. Yet, we are the consumers and not the manufacturers. When we should be in the position to be manufacturing because we are numbered like that. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah and Muhammad. Our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said, now this is what he has to say in regards to that question. The nature of this science is the greatness of the unlimited wisdom and of the designer, the great source of goodness for all that is under the flag of Islam, the freedom, the justice, the equality that is freely exercised by both believer and non-believer. Check that out. We come back to that in a minute. Believer and non-believer under the flag of Islam, which is revealed for the sole purpose of teaching the great unlimited source of mercy and love that the designer has for his people. If we are, as the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad taught us, to be the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization and gods of the universe, then why not would God himself bring the flag to his very own people? His creation. Why would he give it to anyone else other than that if he already declared us to be the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization and gods of the universe? You see? But then there's something here that looks like it can be what they say, a misprint, or it looks like this is out of congruity with what the Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad has to say here, because he said that it's for both believer and non-believer. Okay, what does that mean? Our Father is clearly making a point here that yes, everyone shares the sun, everyone shares the moon, everyone shares the stars in their solar sense. You follow me? But when we say who does it belong to, that's us. We're the only ones that have the rightful claim to the sun, moon, and stars. You understand? As the brother said, we traveled before we got here. Then we chose the best part of this planet to populate from. We brought the black stone with us. What is that saying? That's saying that we was somewhere prior to this planet. The whole universe belongs to the black man and woman. All praise is due to Allah and Muhammad. We have much more, but we want to basically talk to the hip-hop community real briefly before we go. Because the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad said that the sun, moon, and stars is also symbolic to the family structure. He said that the sun is the father in the sense that he sheds the light, or he is the light giver, which is the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by Master Farad Muhammad. He also said that the woman is the moon as she reflects the sun, and that the children are the stars because they reflect both in the absence of light. Why are we saying this now? Because we as our hip-hop community, we have a bad habit of using the term, my son. That's my son. And we say, well, you trying to son him like that's your little man? No, son like S-U-N, like he's shining like the sun, that's my son. Okay. If he is your son, then respect him recognize the godlike qualities within him as being the Son, and help him build this nation for our people. All praise is due to Allah and Muhammad. So with that and the desire to say much more, we would like to bring back to the rostrum our good brother, hard working brother, and yours, Brother Minister Rahim Ali. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Praise be to Allah, Muhammad. Let's give our beloved brother minister another round of applause, please. Yes, sir, that was a great class. We thank Allah so much for the brother. He said something about that the universe belongs to the black man, and we are in the wilderness of this universe, right here, this country. We are in the wilderness. He said it belongs to us, the universe. That's what our father said. We thank Allah so much. Praise be to Allah, Muhammad. We would just like to make a small correction on what we have said. We have said that we said that 66 trillion years ago we've been on this planet. It's not that we came here 66 trillion years ago. We just want to make that correction. We want to be right. We came with to this planet, 66, built this planet 66 trillion years ago. Alhamdulillah, Muhammad. Praise be to Allah, Muhammad. We like to keep that on going. We want you to look behind us. We have 3 posters back here. And these posters put here to keep us aware of what we are and who we are. We have one of Master Fard Muhammad, who came here in 1930. He's the one that came to this country, bringing with him the keys and crown, the knowledge of who we were, and looking for one man when he came here to give this knowledge to. As it speaks in the Bible, it says, as the sun shineth from the east and even unto the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. But he was fulfilling this part of the scriptures. He came with nothing but pure truth. The brother talking about calling people sons, he came with the Son. Everything in his head was nothing but truth and light. What he gave the most honorable Muslim like Muhammad opened up the universe. And he taught us about the universe. He was born in Mecca, Arabia. And his father was a white man. Pardon me, let's retract that. His father was a black man, one of the 23 scientists of Islam. His mother was a Caucasian, and she was, as we say, a white woman. The scientists, which was 23 of them, his father was the 23rd, had got together because they knew it was a time for the completion of the history of Abraham's seed, which would be lost in the land for over 400 years. And they knew it was time for that to come up to be at a completion. See, the scientists know everything. The black man. Everything known, they know. His father was given the task of going up into the mountains, Caucasus Mountains, and finding himself a wife. And the reason was this, is so that he could go and find a wife so he could come back and have a child that would not look like us, the ones who he was coming to save. And on doing so, he brought back a wife. And he impregnated her. The first one was a girl. He said, I missed on that one. The second one was a male, Master Fard Muhammad, right here. The 23 scientists, his father and the other 22, as soon at birth, they began to whisper in his ear and teach him everything he needed to know to prepare him to come spoke about. And search for that lost seed, not seeds. That lost seed of Abraham. He was prepared to do so. He came here in 1920 first. And as the brother said, when he got here, he saw the condition of his peoples, the gods, and how they was living. He actually sat down on the curb and wept. This is something great for you to see that great gods fall down to a condition where he can't even recognize them. This is what happened. After he can't stand him, he found the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, because he was looking for the honorable Elijah Muhammad. He didn't find him. But it was the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad who had heard, who was at the time named Elijah Poole, who had, his wife had came to him and heard Master Farad Muhammad speak. And he heard his wife talking about it. So he wanted to go and investigate this man himself. He wanted to go see this man for himself. So he went to Detroit, where was that? And Master Farad Muhammad was speaking. And he sat back, the Honorable Mr. Elijah sat back and heard him speak. And when it was over with, he had to sit back and wait, because during that time, everyone, once the minister or the preacher, whoever it was that was speaking, they would want to get up there and congratulate him on his wells, on his speaking, on his speech. Pardon me. So he waited until everyone else had finished, till he was able to make his way up there to him. So when he got there, he looked at Master Farad Muhammad. Master Muhammad looked at him. He said, "I know who you are." Master Farad Muhammad looked at him kind of stern. "Who do you say I am?" "You God. You the one that they say will be coming from the east." Master Farad Muhammad smiled, leaned down in his ear and said, "Yeah, you know this but yourself. Keep it to yourself. Who know this but you? Keep this to yourself." And nudged them off. From that day forward, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad was right there with him, learning everything he had to say. The most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad is the one that told us that Master Farad Muhammad gave us this flag, the sun, moon, and stars. It was the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad who had seen a young black man hanging on a tree when he was young, 10 or 11 years old. I can't quite remember the date at this time, but I have it. Sometimes it slips away from me. But saw this young black man hanging on a tree, and it shook him so bad. He couldn't understand what was going on. Why would he kill us like that? And at that time, he made a solemn promise that if God help him, he would spend the rest of his life, man, trying to save his people. And that's what he did. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad spent every day of his life after meeting Master Farad Muhammad, every day of his life training to learn and teach you and I who we are. We are actually the gods. This is what he did. Every day of his life he studied. And he taught ministers. And he raised up ministers. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We're going to have to miss a few things up here that we want to do, but we want to say this, that the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad had did more for the black man here in the United States and the world than anyone. And because it was spoken of him in the scriptures, behold, I'll send you Elijah before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. But we have to bear witness that this is a dreadful day that we are living in. And the Lord is right here with us today.
Yes, sir.
We have to bear witness to that. We cannot turn our back. And if we say that, then we have to bear witness that it was Elijah. It was Elijah that put us on the right path. And if it wasn't for him doing his job, then none of us would be here today. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We would like to close and bring on our next praise be to Allah Muhammad. Before we close, we have one more thing we want to say. And because I don't want to forget the flag, we just touched on that. And like the brother says, we have the sun, moon, and stars. Freedom, justice, equality, Islam. This is what the most honorable Mufti Elijah Muhammad brought us. So, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, we'd like to say the key. The key to understanding the teachings of the most honorable Mufti Elijah Muhammad is to know that the most honorable Mufti Elijah Muhammad says what he means and means what he says. Nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time all the time. He quote what he wrote and what he said we must obey. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We're going to bring on our beloved minister for today, the spokesman for Allah, Ali Mahdi Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. Our beloved brother, spokesman, Mu'min Ali. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
How's everyone this afternoon?
Fine, sir.
Thank Allah for being alive. We're being slaughtered in the streets, even as we speak. So we thank Allah Muhammad for being alive to do something about it. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, in the person of our Father, the Most Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him forever. And we thank Master Farad Muhammad, who came in the person of Allah in the year of 1930. He is the manifestation of Almighty God Allah. We will remember him and praise him forever. And we will honor him by naming our children after him for at least 1,000 years. And we thank our Father, the Most Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, for raising the field supreme minister of the New World Nation of Islam, Holy Tribe of Shabazz, Ali Mahdi Muhammad. As I greet you in our New World Nation of Islam's greetings of peace to you in the old world and peace to you in the new world hereafter. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
The key, and you hear this often, but it takes 2,000 repetitions to introduce to the body a physical reflex. How many repetitions of a people that have been dead, mentally dead, for over 400 years? How many repetitions of that has to be said in order to unlock those rusty locks on their minds that make them ignorant and buried in the grave of ignorance? So don't get bored. Thank Allah for the key. The key to understanding the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to know that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says what he means and means what he says. We quote what he wrote, and what he says, we must obey. Therefore, nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time, all the time. The history is already written in 25,000 year cycles. Our Father, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said, before the kingdom can come, there must be a falling away first. And during the night of spiritual darkness, the devil will cast 1/3 of the stars of God, the ministers, the captains, the lieutenants of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, down to the ground. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad promised us a new sun and a new day under the guidance of his Allah. The great Mahdi will come, and he will turn the hearts of the children back to our beloved spiritual father, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Make no mistake about it.
the new sun is raised here in the wilderness of North America by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Again, how my beloved brothers and sisters this afternoon.
Fine, sir.
We thank Allah Muhammad for being alive. The subject is the flag of Islam. Let us say from the onset, there's no way in the world that we could do justice to the flag of Islam in one setting, as Brother Minister pointed out. It's a lecture series in itself. We're just scratching the surface. We just want you to know that. But as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, if you can't accept the little, you can't accept the greater. So let's see what the little bits has to say. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says on page 1 of this booklet that the flag given to the so-called Negro by Allah God represents freedom, justice, and equality. That's what he said. The flag given by Allah God to the so-called Negroes, the lost found, represents freedom, justice, and equality. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad also teaches us that history is best qualified to reward all research. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
That's what he said. You know we didn't come up with it. So now, what about flags? Let's look at the history of flags. What does the research about flags say? There's a term called vexillology. And vexillology means the study of the history, symbolism, and usage of flags. Now, we're not talking about some penalty flag that's being thrown on a football field all over this country as we speak. We talk about flags that mean something. We want to study the history, the symbolism, and the usage of our flag, the flag of Islam. So what does the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say briefly about the history of our flag? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a Muhammad Speaks article, February 9th, 1936, entitled Warning of Allah God. He started off by saying about Master Farad Muhammad, he said, he brought us names, but he also brought a flag for us with those names. And he says that the flag represented the universe, the flag of Islam. He said it represented the fact that all that is called universe belongs to the black man, and that the white man has come to the end of his time of rulership on the earth, and that his days in the sun are over, and that he will be removed from the earth for corrupting and deceiving the nations for 6,000 years. That's what he said about our flag of Islam in 1936. Then he went on to say that the devil, being naturally curious for no good reason, he said that the devil said to Master Farad Muhammad, when he was giving us our flag, the national, the sun, moon, and stars, he said, the devil said, I had never seen the star that close to the crescent. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Master Farad Muhammad said, it had only been like this one time. And he said, a scientist of Islam photographed it. And he said, this is why we have it now. Then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, praise, talking about Master Farad Muhammad, praise his holy name. He said, the year before 1935, in the month of April, he said that Allah took the planet Venus and the moon and formulated just what you see right here. And he said the devil was amazed and wondered over this great work. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about our flag, the flag of Islam. But he said before this, before he made this picture in the heavens, and it's on the historical record, in fact, in science of the weather, climate, called meteorology, it's on the record that this happened. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said before this took place in 1935, he said Allah caused a cloud, a shade, a shadow to overcome half of the moon, which at that time wasn't hardly, as he said, half full. But Allah took a shadow and overshadowed half the moon. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this was in fulfillment of the prophecy of the Holy Quran, the 75th chapter or surah, in the 8th verse, or ayah. He said this represents the removal of the opposition of opponents against the teaching of Islam and the resurrection of the dead. That's the history of our flag. So you think our little flag is just something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came up with? This is God himself at work. Freedom, justice, and equality, the sun, moon, and stars. But now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on to teach us more science about our flag. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he points out in this same booklet, The Flag of Islam, he said that all of the symbols are representative of righteousness, of justice, of truth in the will of God. As you heard Brother Minister pointing out what it represents, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad went on to give us a greater insight into the design or the symbolism of our flag, which is God himself in his design. Could you create a sun? Can you create a moon or a star? That's the work of God. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us the understanding of what it represents. As you heard, Brother Minister, that the sun controls 9 planets, but he also made it clear he controls those 9 planets with light and heat. And this produces from those planets life and energy. And that these 9 planets that the sun controls is called the sun family. That's what they call them, the sun family. But we won't go any further past that. We just wanted to bring out the fact that anything that can do that is naturally representative of what the sun represents, freedom. Then he goes on to say that the moon is a part of the earth and it represents equality. There's spirituality to it. Then he goes on to say that the star is that which dispels darkness in space, and that the star is unlimited in the universe, and that the star bears witness to the sun, and that the star is without number in space, and it represents or signifies justice. So this is the symbolism and the history around our flag, the sun, moon, and stars. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on to say, and he makes it clear, he says that all people, all races, all nations who are independent, they exercise independently that which independent nations exercise under a flag that is designed by their state or nation. Did we have a flag before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes, we did. You thought ours was the stars and stripes. Yes, we did. We thought Old Glory, which Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you should call Old Hell, was our flag. You know we telling the truth. That's how dead we was. We thought the enemy flag was ours when the enemy got his from us. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is pointing out to us, that we have the greatest universal flag. You look at any flag on the planet, whether it be of the black, brown, yellow, red, or white people, and you will see some remnant, some portion, some degree of it that comes from this flag right here. You can't get out of it. So it's no exaggeration, let alone being a lie, that our flag is the greatest universal flag of Islam, which means any flag that represents God, which is Islam, there's no flag that is greater. There's no teachings that is greater when it comes to the flag of Islam. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us about the nature of our flag and giving us the truth about where it comes from. And it has no beginning. You have some people who say that we are the first people in the sun. Well, if you look in Theology of Time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out that we are the first people in the sun. Then he said, well, in fact, we had to make the sun, then stand in it. Well, that's a making of God. You see? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us a thorough knowledge of the history of our flag. In Theology of Time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says on page 304, it's an interview context. And the interviewer says, Dear Holy Apostle, I've heard according to your teachings that you said that the moon as it stands right now in the first quarter is representative of the original black man. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answers saying, well, no, don't say that it represents the original black man as it is now, but rather represents the black man here in North America, who is deaf, dumb, and blind to the knowledge of self, but once was in the knowledge of self. Then the interviewer asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, well, what do the other 3/4 of the moon? Because remember, it goes from quarter, half, 3/4 full, and then it descends in the same fashion. So he asked him, what do the other 3/4 of the moon represent? And he said that it represents stages in our rise back into the knowledge of self, degrees. So you see, it's not just a moon, it's not just, and in fact, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us the physiological aspects of the moon that has an impact on our beautiful black woman every 28 days. So you see, this isn't a fluke. This is something that can be proven at any time in an unlimited format by scientists and fool alike, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about our flag, the flag of Islam. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad notes and he points out to us that our flag is a flag that is representative of the greatest of anything when it comes to nations and progress as nations. As the brother minister pointed out, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad noted that the science of our flag is representative of the unlimited wisdom of the designer and the goodness that he gives to both believer and non-believer in the flag of Islam, freedom, justice, and equality, where they all are free to exercise and reap the benefits of the sun, moon, and star. He said, regardless of their religious belief. But he also made it clear that Islam, Allah, will overcome all religions, though they be averse. Letting us know there's a limited time to the mercy of this great wisdom, where we come and do it as we please. Not today, not under the sun, moon, and star. What is the nation doing right now? Every nation is seeking what? They're seeking freedom for their people within the political context or cultural or civilizational context that they feel is right for them. They're seeking justice based on that idea, and they're seeking equality of their fellow citizen of man within the framework of that way of life. All are seeking this. And yet we are the originators of that, and we're not getting any of that today. We're catching nothing but hell. And yet we created freedom, justice, and equality. We created sun, moon, and star. But Allah's promise is forever true. How so? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us of the guidance that has been set up to direct us back into the knowledge and qualifications of self under the flag of Islam. Didn't the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that Allah never leaves us, always guides us? Let's try that again. Didn't the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that Allah is always with us and never leaves us and always guides us?
Yes, sir.
Well, then we're the proof of it right here. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said on page 55 and 56 of Theology of Time, he said, his words, he said, we have set up 2 classes, one called FOI and the other MGT-GCC. That's what he said. We have set up 2 classes. Remember, we're talking about the guidance that Allah has set up to direct us back into the knowledge and qualifications of self under our national, the flag of Islam. He said, we have 2 classes that have been set up, one called FOI and the other MGT. He said, you see these brothers walking around with the initials FOI on their head. This represents the universe, the sun, moon, and stars. Then he said, of course, you don't see the sun up there, but this is representative of you not getting the theological side of what is inside of the headpiece. That's what he said. He said, but nevertheless, it is the closest thing that represents who we are. And then he said, you cannot get out of getting around who you are if you are representing the sun, moon, and stars. All of this is in the 2 classes. God gonna give you a flag and then just leave it up to our devices to make sure that the flag is respected and held in its full and glory and honor. That's like giving a child that just learned how to strike matches but don't know the power of fire and just say, well, go ahead, little girl, go ahead, little boy. How would that end up? Fire department will have a real serious day that day. So when God gives us something, he gives us the guidance or the framework to bring us up in the wisdom of how to maximize that power and force towards progressive ends that are greater than any other nation, because there's no one to outstrip God's wisdom. So he set up 2 classes to teach us about ourselves, the universe, the sun, moon, and stars. Remember, Yonah Elijah Muhammad says in Theology of Time that Islam takes for its base the root meaning of the universe for its religion. What is the base in the root of the universe that we take for our religion? Go anywhere where there's not sun, moon, and star, and you don't have life. You have no base, you have no root for life. So we take this as the base and root of our religion, the sun, moon, and star, our flag. This is a simple experiment. Christianity, Islam. If we told the Christians, take down your flag, what would happen? Young Elijah Muhammad said, we would be free instantly. He said, but if we took down our flag, he said they would all go insane at once. Now just think, take the sun out of the heavens. Take the moon out of the heavens. Take the star, the constellation of stars out of the heavens. What do you have? You have insanity. You have panic. You have everything that represents confusion and mayhem. But yet, we are, as they call us, Mohammedans and an infidel religion. But the flag of Islam represents nothing. But yet, America became the wisest or the most powerful nation on the planet by exploiting the free benefits of the light and heat, which gives energy and light to everything that they touch and produce, including our foreparents that they brought over here as slaves. And they did it under the flag of Islam, the sun, moon, and stars every day. But yet they want us to believe that the only path to heaven, the only path to the hereafter, the only path to what we call a life of everlasting happiness is in Jesus. When they're catching hell right now, in Jesus' name. But they won't tell you that Jesus was a black man that taught Islam. I mean, let's think about it historically. Jesus taught Islam. It's a fact. So how did he begin to teach Christianity in his lifetime? When the historians, white historians, will tell you that there was no such creature as a Christian during his time. That came 3 centuries after his death, a little after, when they formulated him as being the Christ, which was inaccurate, and him being the God, which is way beyond the truth. So how in the world can we take what these devils say about ourselves and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us about the truth of ourselves under the flag that he has given to us, the sun, moon, and stars, as being anything other than the truth? But yet we take the lie for the truth and the truth for the lie. What the white man says. Remember, they're masters of technology. All you have to do, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, is to get after them with truth, and they will run. Tell them to prove that the cross is mightier than the crescent. Tell them to prove that the stars and stripes is greater than the sun, moon, and stars. Prove it. There's no way to prove it. Not scientifically, not factually. They can use subterfuge. They can use, as they say, smoke and mirrors. They can call Madison Avenue, which is their advertising and marketing a stronghold, to deceive the people into purchasing products and services that they have no use for. But they can't prove in truth that the sun, moon, and stars is weaker than the stars and stripes. We gave them their flag. They don't even know the symbolism of their flag, what the stripes next, white and red stripes next to one another and the blue background represents. And why do you have multiple stars when you should have one star? We gave that to them to prove exactly what we knew they would do with it. Give hell to everybody, including themselves with it. So naturally, we need the antithesis of this when it comes to a new standard, a new flag, and new colors. That which represents what everyone wants and what God is the only one capable of giving. Freedom, justice, and equality. This is the crown of peace. When you're free to do right, when you're justified in doing that right, and you receive equality based on opportunity every time, that's peace. That's heaven. The devil can't even produce that among themselves. With all the wealth, they are fighting tooth and nail. There's no freedom, justice, and equality. You see, turn on the TV right now. They're talking about the highest court in the land. But what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say? They have 9 judges. It takes 9 months to receive a healthy baby. He said you have 9 planets. He said they have a pretty good science. He said, but they can't live up to it. We see it every day. That science came from our flag, the sun, moon, and star. So what happens when we get out of the mindset that the white man has taught us about our own national and get into the right understanding of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches of the truth of our national? What does that do? That produces gods and goddesses that puts the future generations on a trajectory or pathway of unlimited progress, with freedom, justice, and equality being the foundation and cornerstone of our civilization. That's what it does. So, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to set up the 2 classes to teach us this. 40 years he was among us. Has anyone ever read and heard all the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? No, sir. Look what we have to do. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I am here to solve the problems that you presently have and the problems you have yet to receive. So that means, as Field Supreme Minister Ali Mahdi Muhammad is always saying, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad covered everything. He didn't leave anything out. So that means we are duty bound to retrieve, authenticate, and preserve all of the teachings of those over 4 decades of teachings of love from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he has administered to us. Because the key to our existence, or lack thereof, is contained in his teachings. This is his world, right? Yes, sir. His civilization, his teachings, his kingdom, his judgment, his everything. That's what Jesus said. This is not mine, this is the Father. So if this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then common sense dictates that this is mathematics. And mathematics comes from a Greek word meaning what is known. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has made us to be aware of and made known to us everything that we need to know to get this devil off our neck and off our planet forever by administering freedom, justice, and equality. So that it can't be said that God is wrong. Killed that devil for nothing. That's why the scriptures say, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and our Savior has arrived in the chapter coming of the Son of Man, confusion of nations. He says, when the Son of Man proves that he is justified in destroying the devil, what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said? Boom. That's the end of it. You see? Freedom, justice, and equality. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad first put this up in 1941 at Temple No. 4, Washington, D.C. And he said the FBI, when they arrested him, they was mad at him. He said, but they couldn't condemn it. So you see, the sun, moon, and star has a proven track record of reliability and truth in the face of overwhelming opposition, even from some black devils. Yes, we do. We have our own, some of them through no fault of their own, and others, they're staunch. They love these devils. They don't want freedom, justice, and equality unless boss can come along. You see, but that's not the way things are going to go. And if they think by marrying the devil and having them beige babies that they be having, it's going to save them and give them freedom, justice, and equality, that won't work either. You see? Freedom, justice, and equality is what is represented today. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that Allah comes to make a nation out of us. And the first thing he did was give us a standard, a flag, a national, like any other nation, that we can take pride in and represent to any nation, any community of nation, any representative of any nation, and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the sun, moon, and stars is the best flag and standard on the planet. This is the point that we want to get across to you. We should take great pride. You know, you got some people that take shame in it. They want that. And then when you tell them the history of that, they get mad at you. We've experienced that. We've given the history of the Stars and Stripes and the leaders under the Stars and Stripes and the historical evidence from white historians, not black. And they got mad at us. Instead of saying, thank the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm coming home to my own, the sun, moon, and star. You see? We're just pointing this out to show you that it's not going to be an easy job to win our people over. Our people are dead. And we just pointed out how many times it takes to introduce a natural reflex into the body and remove an unnatural one. This is the work that we're up against. But wouldn't you want somebody to give their all to save your life?
Yes, sir.
When they saw you heading down the wrong path?
Yes, sir.
Well, then we're obligated. We didn't mean to bait you like that, but the record shows you know now. And therefore, you're obligated to seek freedom, justice, and equality for your brother. You want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Prophet Muhammad said you're not a brother or a Muslim unless you want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. You're seeking freedom, justice, and equality, right?
Yes, sir.
Are we getting freedom, justice, and equality on these devil's jobs?
Sir.
In their communities, in their neighborhoods, and any other place we have to frequent where they're at? Of course not. As they say, I'd rather be with the worst of my kind than the best of their kind. Because they're devils. And you'll never get freedom, justice, and equality. But there's a great potential of bringing it out of your brother and sister if they get the right guidance and knowledge of themselves. Then you have something to work with to build civilization.
Yes, sir.
This is what the devil is trying to kill. You do understand that one day that when the cameras go up, they're going to charge us with trying to overthrow the government. With what? All we got is the truth. But then Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out that that was sufficient to overcome all opposition, the double-edged sword, symbolically speaking, the truth. And they're going to get mad at all of us for telling the truth on them. When yet they say they stand for the First Amendment. Freedom of speech. Just don't sell that. That's what they're going to do. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Fall of America on page 15, what I teach is not for the coward. If you can't withstand the barbs, the insults, and all of the other investigations, he said this isn't for you. In the pursuit of freedom, justice, and equality, you have to fight. Give you nothing. Get it yourself. If I came to you all right now and gave you $1 billion each, no strings attached, unconditional, you do the right thing with it, right?
Yes, sir.
You would, wouldn't you? You didn't have to work for it, but I'll give it to you. You're gonna pursue freedom, justice, and equality with $1 billion each, right? No strings attached. No knowledge of how to administer freedom, justice, and equality. You see? This is why God gets all of the heavenly manna first, to teach us how to spend in the way of righteousness or freedom, justice, and equality. You see? It's a mercy, because if not, he would have to kill us. Where the brother at? He's on Rodeo Drive on the shopping spree. He's heading to the south of France to go to the Cannes Film Festival. Where the sister at? She's trying to undermine her sister and try to buy out the whole neighborhood and kick them out. You see, we wouldn't know how to act for righteousness' sake with a righteously given fund. You see, there's a lot of moving parts to freedom, justice, and equality. to living under a standard that represents doing good and righteousness, regardless to whom or what. That's the point that we're making for you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad covered everything. All we have to do is follow his guidance, but most importantly, we have to do as he said in How to Eat to Live, Book 2, page 75. Leave my teachings as it is. So what does that look like in administering what he said without limiting or without restricting what he said we should be able to do with that, and to the degree that he said we should be able to do it in the pursuit of freedom, justice, and equality? We need some guidance. We need a savior. We need a God to direct us. Or else we'd be messing up big time. And God would have to remove us. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there's no one coming behind me but Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And he is the one that will lead us into freedom, justice, and equality. The fulfillment of the realization of what our banner, what our standard, what our national represents. This is what we need today. Everybody's seeking that character of leadership under a standard that they believe will get them that. We're no different. We're in the crosshairs of a third world war. And we don't have two toothpicks to defend ourselves. We don't have two Lincoln head pennies to rub together as a people. No stronghold to defend ourselves. And yet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us everything we need for freedom, justice, and equality. But the most important thing is the removal of that dead mind that these white folks have given us. Even to this day, we got the light blacks angry at the dark blacks. But this isn't just here in America. We was talking to a Dominican brother from the Dominican Republic. He said the same thing exists there. We were talking to a brother from Haiti. See, and they both share the same island. And you got light-skinned, dark-skinned Haitian conflict and light-skinned, dark-skinned Dominican conflict. The devil has done a good job in messing us up. But freedom, justice, and equality, which is more than meets the eye, is just what we need to remove the devil from our minds and our relationships with one another. Then where does that leave the devil? Off our planet. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. When Allah gave us that flag, that represented that this was the end of his time in deceiving and corrupting our people all over the planet. But those who get the truth first from God are duty bound to do this or initiate it. Where did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings come first? To us, right? So who's duty bound? We are duty bound to keep the banner of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad rising and standing tall and firm and never touching the ground. We are the ones responsible for maintaining the honor that is due to the sun, moon, and stars, and everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we should be doing under such a wonderful and beautiful and God-given flag. So you see, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was never off his job. Now it's our turn. He said, if a man is doing the work and he doesn't complete it in his lifetime, then his son takes up the responsibility. And if his son doesn't complete it, then his son's son. But they stay the course until the victory is won. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has done his job. Either he's going to say, I'm proud of my spiritual children, or he's going to want to come back and kill us all. You see, there's no gray area here. Either we do or die. The victory is already won. All we got to do is maintain the flag of Islam and all that it stands for. Then we'll be successful. Anything short of that, the devil's good at deceiving. And he'll make you think his flag of Islam is better than your flag of Islam. Yes, he is. He's good. He's very good. You have some coming saying that they're Muslims, but they're not our Muslims. That's between Allah and them. Freedom, justice, and equality comes from God. And God says separation is a must under the flag of Islam. But God gave mercy to some of the enemies of Islam. But we don't know nothing about that or how to administer that, so they have to see God on that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, we seek freedom, justice, and equality with the black, brown, yellow, and red man. The devil, that's between him and God. But right now, we're just trying to stand united under the standard that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us, the flag of Islam. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Peace, peace, that's a very good class. About the flag of Islam, isn't there a flag with Star and Crescent with a black background? If so, what does that represent?
As we stated, you have many flags. The Libyan flag, it has red, it has black, and it has green. You know how when we was coming up and we thought that we was being black by standing up for the red, black, and green, where it spoke about the red is the blood that our people have shed, and the green is representative of the land that it was stolen, and the black represents the people that are representing this banner. Well, it's the same thing with an Islamic flag. It has different meanings to different people. So in regards to that, you would have to ask that people, well, what does this represent? What does this coat of arms stand for? You see, this is the symbolism that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad notes, that every independent people have that have a flag. They designed that flag with a particular idea in mind in order to be reserved for future generations and the direction of that nation. And it's the same with Islamic nations that have star and crescent with their various backgrounds.
But I thought I saw a picture of the field supreme minister with a fez, with a black fez with a white, with a star and crescent on it.
Oh, yes, sir, that's a big difference. See, the feds. You have Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he was on the run from 1935 to 1942, he was here in the city of Newark. And he had been invited to a Moorish American Science Temple under Noble Drew Ali. And at that time, the leader of that particular temple, they weren't called ministers, they were called sheiks. And the sheik was jealous of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because naturally the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had the highest form of Islam. So the sheik told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, okay, you can speak, but make it quick. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad looked out into the audience and he said he saw his subject, which was the red fezzes that the brothers was wearing. And he said that when he finished explaining what that red fez represented, an older brother came up to him with tears in his eyes, thanking the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for explaining and giving him the understanding of what it meant. The red fez is the war-bonded fez in the Muslim world. Naturally, the red represents the sun, and the star represents the justice, and the moon, the crescent, represents equality. Then you have a black tassel, which spins 360 degrees at the top of the fez. This represents the black nation, which is the only nation that has 360 degrees of freedom of access throughout the universe by God's permission. The black fez merely represents the black nation, where you have the red that is substituted by the black, that represents the black nation, and naturally the star still represents justice, and the crescent represents equality. That's what that represents.
Peace, peace, Lord.
Yes, sir.
Not only must we understand our flag, but we must be able to identify it at a moment's glance. And I say this because I've seen this flag flipped to the other side. Could you elaborate on that, please?
When you say flip, what do you
The
mean?
way it's designed now, it's this, the sun's on the other side, the half moon is flipped around the other way, and the star is on the other side.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole nation that has a flag like that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the people in Turkey, which is a European nation, you have what is called Anatolia, which is Asiatic Turkey, and then you have European Turkey. The scriptures say, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out in Message to the Black Man, that when Islam is pushed out of Anatolia, across the Bosphorus, which is what separates Asiatic Turkey from European Turkey, that is a sign of the end of the Western world. That happened in 1914. These people called Turks from Turkey in Europe, they're a Muslim nation. Right now, they're conflicted between what they call secularism and an Islamic state. They are the ones that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, because they are trying to live like the original black people, us. Allah has promised them that they would escape the destruction. They won't live forever, but they escape the destruction. So they have their own Islamic flag, which is the reverse of ours. But ours is the greatest, and it has precedence in the heavens, where theirs is just that which was made by a flag maker in that design structure.
Are there any more questions in the audience?
Peace.
Peace, peace.
How's the family?
Yes, sir.
All right. We just want to know this, Lord. Good class, great class. Think a lot much. How could being educated in this credential-oriented American society help advance the national, our national? Could Brother Minister elaborate on that, sir?
Yes, sir. That's a twofold representation. On the one hand, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the devil doesn't want us to leave him. So therefore, he educates us. And when he educates us, he makes us like him. But one who is conscious and in love with self and kind, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad puts it this way: we cannot put the job over now without the professional class of our people, which is the educated, the credential carrying, the degree having members of the black nation, which puts us on the level of building in earnest a nation. So in that regard, that's how they can help. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the professional class of our people and the Muslims need to get together in private and understand one another. This is how we can make progress, and in fact, we have no choice, because I don't know how to build no skyscraper, I don't know how to build no bridge, I'm no civil engineer, I'm no architect, but we have brothers and sisters who are geniuses in these fields. And we were able to release their revolutionary abilities and have the engineers able to get the materials for which the architects design, we would have a new world that can only be described as something out of Star Trek or some other futuristic type of show. Because the black man and the black woman is no equal when it comes to displaying the knowledge or the education that our people, if left alone, can administer and build a beautiful nation with. So this is how the educated can help us. But we must do as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, get away from this devil and get together. And he has ordered us that why shouldn't brothers of similar burdens get together and have a spiritual feast to find justice for the black man? That includes the educated black man and woman, especially today, because we have to build, and we can't build without their skill set. Yes, sir.
Peace. Yes, sir. A lot of archaeological finds around the planet, we have structures that are huge. Then when a man stands next to some of these structures, we look like little ants. The question is, were they really built by giants?
Good question. You must understand that the scripture says that we once were giants. We once were a people that were very tall in stature. Some say 7, 8, 10 feet. So you see, as Field Supreme Minister Ali Mahdi Muhammad points out, and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad bear witness, that we came from sun, star, moon, and we're going back moon, star, sun. What this means is, when we saw that we had to reduce ourselves to mere mortals, coming from gods to mere mortals, or as J. Rogers says, from Superman to man, so these old weak devils could control us, we had to deposit knowledge for safekeeping on other planets. Remember, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the national home of the black man is the earth, but the universe is where we live. So we had exposure to all kinds of civilizations. And one of the ones that's most popular among the devil and our people is called the Olmecs, which are these large, humongous heads that they found in various parts of Central and South America. These were black people. You could tell by the protruding lips, the wide noses, the high cheekbones. These are black folks. And the heads are so big that it dwarfs a man who was standing at well exceeds 6'5", or even close to 7 feet, and it made him look like a midget. So this is proof that we have these powers and abilities, and they found civilizations all over the planet wherein they had structures that it still baffles them as to how they were made. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has made it clear. We know the science. He said the same hydraulics that built the pyramids, we will not bring it back into display until the white man's off the planet. Because if he gets his hands on it, we're going to have a problem, you see. So the giant isn't just the physical stature. The giant is the wisdom and the employment of that wisdom to produce gigantic productions of civilization. So this is what that represents.
Yes, sir. That is the end of our question and answer segment, sir.
So, well, we thank Allah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Allah is our best guide and help. And he said, there's no one coming behind me but Allah and the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And you can tell if he's on the scene because you can't be around him unless you're quoting, upholding, defending, protecting, and keeping pure the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's how you'll know if Master Farad Muhammad's on the scene. He won't allow you to do or say or be anything but what the Father says to be. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. With that, we thank Allah Muhammad as we turn the rostrum back to your beloved, hard-working brother, Rahim Ali. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace. Just give our beloved ministers another round of applause, please. Praise be to Allah Muhammad. We thank Allah much for y'all coming out. It's indeed our blessings. We would like to just say that if anyone have heard anything that made them want to join on to their own, you can see the brother in the rear, or you can see brothers can see the brother in the rear, and the sisters can see the sisters in the rear. And they will give you a form that you can fill out and then turn it in. Those who are online and watch us Facebook, they can go online, download our page. You can see the form on our page, the registration form. You can download it, fill it out, and send it in. Also, we are not in the best of care as far as money wise. We're not poor, but we could use any donation that you can afford. You know, even if it was a penny, if you can afford it, we would take that. If you want to do that, you could donate to New World at gmail.com. And it's email for PayPal donations. You can do that. That's only if you can afford it. And praise be to Allah Muhammad. In the name, the key to understanding the teachings of our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, is to know that the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad says what he means and means what he says. We quote what he wrote. And what he say, we must obey. Nothing is wrong. Everything is in time and on time all the time. The history is already written in 25,000-year cycles. Our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad says, before the kingdom can come, there must be a falling away first. During the night of spiritual darkness, the devil will cast 1/3 of the stars of God down to the ground. But a new sun and a new day under the guidance of the great Mahdi will come. And he will turn the hearts of the children back to our Father, the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. The new sun is raised by the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad here in the wilderness of North America. With that, will everyone please rise? And I recite the closing prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not those upon whom the wrath is brought down, nor those who are stray. Amen.
Amen.
Temple is completed. Thank you very much for your coming out. Allahu Akbar. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace, peace.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.